Hello guys, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. Been a while I did the recap here. So before we start, quick disclaimer, anything we discuss is just for educational purpose only, nothing is a financial advice. Hope everybody's having a great day today. So guys, so yesterday has been choppy. The market has been pulling back this week, and the biggest reason, of course, we have Iran war, the inflation concerns. The biggest reason has been the yields, the macro yields. So we use the yields more than VIX today to trade the markets. We will show you how we shorted. Most of the names were short, and there was a midday bounce, how the traders traded the midday bounce using the Ripster clouds. So we'll cover a bunch of that. We'll talk about a little bit about the macro. We'll talk about creating your focus lists when such kind of pullbacks happen, how you create your focus list. We'll talk about some swing trade, a swing winning swing trade that we have, a couple of swing trades that we did, or any swing trades that we stopped out because of the morning weakness, and we'll talk about some other concepts. So before we start, just a quick introduction. We trade a repeatable system called Ripster EMA Cloud System. This system I've been teaching. It just doesn't include my indicators. It also includes a lot of my teachings on psychology, swing trading, investing, that I've been teaching for free for a long time on X, on ripstereducation.com, on my YouTube as well. Thousands of traders use my system to trade consistently. You can go see ripstereducation.com and see how many lives have changed with my free education there. So system is how you trade, setup is what you trade. So to find these setups, we make a pre-market plan. We go through the main news plays that we have news plays, and then we take a look at what we have in earnings, and then we have our Magnificent 7, the Mag 7, and then we have any upgrades or downgrades plays. We focus on that. So based upon this plan, I make this plan live in the pre-market, and we have an initial game plan. Based upon that, we trade all day. My traders trade all day. We are one of the largest online trading community. We also have new company for investing and swing trading as well, AI based. So most of the traders are self-sufficient traders trading on our trading floor, which has thousands of traders all day long. We have multiple tools in the community, 3 for option flow scanners, stock scanners, breaking news alerts, squawks. So a lot of tools we use to find the trades, keeping our winners big, our losers small. In addition to that, we provide a lot of other stuff. Daily levels are provided to trade with Ripster Cloud on Mag 7's ETFs. We trade crypto stocks, so those list is provided as well. We trade futures. Today was a great day to trade futures. We provide the futures levels to the traders in the pre-market as well. We also trade IPOs, low floats in the community. So anyways, I'm live on the voice and on the screen share. I'm live on the voice first few hours of the trading day based upon how the day is going. I guide the traders to the setup. So not a lot of activity this morning. What we did was so let's just start the recaps, and then we'll go through that. So today was a very interesting day here. What happened was, the market has been steadily little weak. If you look at for last few days, if you look at the daily chart, we've been little, having a pullback from the channel. I think I posted this a downtrend, this uptrend channel, that we were breaking this channel and we were pulling back. So market has been pulling back, and after a big run, all the AI names were pulling back. Semiconductors were pulling back. All the high flyers were seeing the pullback in last couple of days, and it was not just because something suddenly changed. Of course, market need a breather, but it was mainly because of the yields, TNX. I tweeted out this. I also shared a research article on this in our community today here. Also shared the article there on the the macro, the bond yields, right? So the bond yields, we discussed it because a lot of traders do not understand, new traders do not understand the macro. It's very important you understand the impact of the yields, the impact of the Fed rates, impact of the US dollar. I tweeted out that link. You can go study about it. But at the high level, when the bond yields are rising, the return that the investors get on those, the stocks usually get beaten down. The money to borrow becomes expensive. So the small caps, mid caps, they get a little beaten down. And also the investors are making more on the yields, so a lot of investors move towards the yields, and so the stocks are kind of, the sell down. It doesn't really have that crazy of impact on the large cash rich stocks, but it does have a lot of impact on the other names. That's why the market was gapping down this morning. If you see that, I'm not going to go through this. You can go and read the articles all about the 10-year yield, the 30-year yields, and so I tweeted it out. But in this morning, VIX was not that impactful today. It was mostly because yields were spiking, right? So you can use the ticker TNX. You could see that yields were, today gapping up here, and they were pretty strong in the morning. So that's why you saw that weakness. Let me close this MTF cloud here on SPY. So that's why you saw this weakness on the market at the open. You see that. So we'll talk about that, how we traded that. And in the middle of the day, the yields kind of pulled back, broke the Ripster clouds. You can use the Ripster clouds as well on the yields, and that's when we got some calls on the market. So we'll talk about the trades that you could take when these kind of calls happen. But overall, yesterday was a choppy day. Today, definitely there were some midday repeatable setups. There was morning shorts. If you go to a rotation tracker, you could see that most of the hot names were red today: rare earth, batteries, air taxis, quantum, drones, crypto, robotics, NVIDIA suppliers, data centers. They were mostly red until that midday call. So let's take a look how the traders traded that SPY QQQ today to make profit in the market with following the yields. So let's take a look here. So the pre-market planning on SPY QQQ was, in the pre-market planning, I said yields are going crazy. IWM will be getting hit harder if yields keep going. Use yesterday lows. Do not touch long under that. If we break yesterday lows, do not touch long under that. Watch VIX 18 as well. If yields push, VIX pushes, we can short the market under yesterday lows. So that was the plan, right? So that was simply our plan. So let's take a look at QQQs here. So we'll talk about the other shorts in the market as well. Initially, the QQQs were strong at the open. So you see this is the QQQs, which was strong at the open. So I didn't tell the traders to short at that time, right? Because we were not breaking under the yesterday lows. But as soon as I saw that the QQQs are breaking the pre-market lows, or even you could start short right here at the, you see this 512 close, that you can short it. That's when I told my trader, you can take the short. So you see the short was from right here from 701, your stops around 702s, and you take it all the way down to 695. Right, the puts went 100%. I told the traders, watch the QQQ short under the yesterday lows. Once it broke that, I told that the short is confirmed, and that's when we faded from 699 to 698 to 696. We even hit closer to the 695. So when the market started to bounce, that's when we closed it. But it kind of, what happened was it failed once and then it curled again. So this is where you get long on the second curl try. You see the first curl try failed. We already exited the shorts right here, but then what happened was a second push came. It took the market all the way. This is the 512 curls all the way. So this is where we longed in the community. So we went all the way towards the MTF cloud. I told the traders that we are hitting the MTFs. There's going to be rejections there. And that's exactly happened. You see how the Ripster clouds rejected. You could short it back again. At the same time, the yields also started to bounce as well. You could see here. And that's when the market kind of dropped. Yield is not always that impactful. This is just a high value of yield. That's why we're seeing all that. And VIX, you see that I always talk about VIX strategy. Today was not too much to do on the VIX strategy. Today was all about how the yields were impacting. So that was a short, guys. You can see my timestamp guidance here. I was not I left in the middle of the day for my workout, and that's when the call came. But my traders already know what to do, and they were taking those calls and they just kill those calls there. You could see that a lot of traders in the community will talk about AMD call, NBIS call, AOI call. Many took 512 calls there, Rocket Lab call. So you see how my traders are taking those call trades with the system. This is a Ripster cloud system. It gives you the short with the levels, with the clouds, and you can also long, and you know where your target is, and you can exit when the 512 breaks. So that was the whole story of SPY, QQQ, SPX. Morning shorts, avoid this midday chop, and you could take the later midday calls, which went crazy there in the middle of the day. So let's see what else we did in the morning. All right, so I'm going to go to the bunch of the names in the morning. Remember, we started the day pretty bearish across the board. So if you look at, if you want to look at here, let's look at some of the names here. So let's go here on our big screen. Let's take a look here. So Tesla was a short, right? So Tesla was a short right at the open. The pre-market plan I gave was 400 support below. If breaks, no go. If holds, you look for call. So as soon as the 404 support broke here, it became a short, right? So it was a short as long as the 404. I did tell the traders about. So Tesla was a short. I gave the target of 390. We hit 398, and it was a 10 a.m. short. Even you could hit short earlier. We did hit 393. And we didn't really get there, but finally it curled, and that's when you exit your shorts. But this was the morning move from 9:30 all the way to 11 a.m. So that was your initial first hour short, and you could see that many other names was there. I said I gave the AMD short as well in the morning. So they were all the short in the first hour, right? So our system tells us it's a short. You see MTF rejections under the pre-market lows. You short it, take to 393. And this was the 512 calls, you get long there. So that was AMD calls there. You can see the traders taking those long calls. A repeatable system, guys. You just have to repeat these setups, rule-based setups, and you can make consistent profits in the market. So that was the morning short on the pre-market lows, 512 fared. That was the long here. So AMD was a short. I gave the target under 390, 385. But when the market is bouncing, of course, everything was going to bounce. Semiconductors, which were weak in the morning, bounced right away, right? You see this is the curl. So that, remember, the moves usually come in the first hour, and then we see the reversal either 10, 10, 15, 10, 30. In this case, we saw the reversal around 11 a.m. The midday reversal, I think something Trump also said. But we have a system that tells us when we have to be short and when we have to go long. So that's how you follow the system. If you look at the other names in the morning, you could see that Amazon was a short from the MTF clouds. We had Google was a short from the MTF clouds. You just hit that short as soon as the MTF clouds break. And also there was a 400 psychological level. That was a short on Google. That was the pre-market plan here. I also told the traders to no go under the previous day low or yesterday lows on Microsoft here. So you could see across the board, the morning was a profit taking. And they did not bounce with semiconductors. Meta did not bounce. Apple, of course, choppy. Microsoft did not bounce. So let's talk about a little bit about the software here. So what did the software doing? So we have been tracking the software weakness, not weakness, the strength for a while now. But today, software popped and dropped. So after crazy run for a few days, we see that running for 3 days, it popped and dropped. Usually our the scanner, our rotation scanner tells us that the clouds are strong today, but today they were red. Only 35% were green. So there was a pop and drop. So the plan on IGV was simple. The software that we had in the pre-market, bullish bias to long over pre-market high. That was the plan. But when we see that IGV is failing at 10 a.m. We get out here and then it's faded all the way to the MTFs. All the other software names failed, now failed, Microsoft failed, now did complete, hit the MTF magnet. Whenever you're shorting something, you target the MTF magnet. Then Microsoft did the same thing. So there was no longs. Although semiconductors bounces, we will look at those calls in a minute. But some of these names, the software names, literally gave back all the day's gains. The highlight of the day was basically the semiconductor AI name bounce middle of the day, and we will discuss that as well. So before we discuss that, let's still take a look at some of the earning plays we did. Home Depot was our great long play today. That was a pretty nice winner, gave us almost over $7 worth of profit. So let's see what was our plan on Home Depot. Home Depot was, when our initial bias was bearish bias to short the pop, the levels 295, 298, 300. So you see that initial candle was no trade here. We're looking for short, but once it pushed over there, that's when I told the traders to 512 call, put your stops at 294.50. So you can see the timestamp 950. That's when I told the traders to long it. And the target, of course, was the MTF. We hit the 300 target. You can see the step-by-step guidance. We hit the 302, 303s. So even if you had, like, let's say you had 200 shares and you're risking $300, you're easily making, $600-700 on that pop, depending on your share size. So this is called a 512 long trade, and you don't this is the first candle is amateur move. Understand the amateur versus trend move. I always teach that, you guys. So the amateur move was no decision, but the trend move was bullish, and now it reclaimed 1 hour bullish pivot. So we'll be watching Home Depot tomorrow. Lowe's also has earnings tomorrow, so you gotta watch that as well. So there was another earning play which was good, was AT&T. I was on voice. I told the traders that AT&T is long. AT&T was long. Let's look at the game plan on AT&T. The plan was bullish bias for MTF long. You see that? Bullish bias for MTF long. So that was an earning setup, right? So that was the plan. As soon as you see the swipe candle, you take it long. I told the trader it's a long, low ATR. It only trades like 60-50 cents a day, but from 24.55, 60, it gave you like 30-40 cents. For small account traders, pretty good. Huge float. These names have huge float, and that's why they move very slowly. But you could see that was the play on AT&T on that earning long setup right there. It was not the earnings. I think they updated their outlook, but just the earning outlook. So it was a setup right there. So let's look at the next is the TE. So TE was on our top watch because the new famous hedge fund, Leopold or whatever his name is. Everybody talks about him. That guy added 10 million. So retail pumped it up yesterday, highest volume ever. So it was on our watch. But just before the open, Fuzzy Panda comes in. It says it's a short. So our plan was to trade a long if it bounces over MTF and curl the 512 curls, or short under 1 hour MTF. So at the initial move, TE was just a short fade, right? A little bit of fade here. You see the consolidation happening right here. You short if you want to, but right here is where you turn bullish on TE. So a lot of traders were on top of TE there when it started to curl there, and then TE went to curl right here. You see this consolidation that you can use this $6 stops to get along at 620. And then it ran all the way to 675, $7. So we'll be on watch tomorrow as well. But this is what it was, the short, and this is the Ripster cloud curls. So you see how system works flawlessly right there. So let's look at our AAOI. So I want to talk about how you create your focus lists when this correction is happening. I will always go and I create I create my focus list there. So let me see if I can show you there. So I create my focus list, and I had my focus list of my stocks that I want to watch on the dips that I want to trade. I also shared it in our Tanner Research, because we have all our research lists on Tanner Research, Swing Investing AI platform, where every name that I want to trade, we have a Tanner Top 30. So I know that what are the fundamentals of that. You can see that there. What is the was the earning telling us, what is our it is research analysis, what the company does, what is our take, what we want to do with it, analyst. So based upon all our analysis, we have our lists created, so we know which stocks we're watching on. So you see AAIO is one of our favorite stock. It's also our long-term position on that. AAOI, from 135 it ran for us to $200. Beautiful profitable trade there on AOI, but it was on our watch, right? So on a day 2 plan, I know the correction is happening, so I'm watching it. So I put AOI as a number 2 play. So bearish bias initially because it was heavy under the yesterday lows, long over the 2021 MTF breakout. So what did AAOI do? Let's take a look here. So initially heavy, market heavy, yields are running. So AOI is a short. You just short. But then comes the 512 calls. And this is what AOI is making right here. What AOI is making a cup and handle intraday. We call it cup and handle curl on AAOI, and it was a long setup, right? So right when it ended, pushed over the cloud. So that's how the two trades were. The morning short, and then today I would say there was a lot of choppy action. You see, before this bounce happened, we were just choppy. So we didn't really do, I personally didn't do a lot of things, right? But a lot of traders were in the community and they kind of killed that curl. DJ was on top of it. DE, Mayuki curled it. DE took the curl. Frying pan. So initially we were short. You could see a lot of these traders like AV Capital were short there, but then we turned on the curl side, right? So that was AAOI. So another hot name that we were trading in the community is similar setup was BE. Right, the energy bottleneck, same thing. BE was initially a short, but then comes the 11 a.m. bounces. This is the power of Ripster clouds, the 512 clouds, 512 calls, right? So that 512 calls is a powerful setup. You could dip by here, stops under this candle, and you could take it, size accordingly. If you risk $500 every trade, then you want to make sure your size that you only lose the $500 in this trade. So if you're risking $500, you could easily make like $2,000 on this trade on the BE alone. So that was a beautiful trade there on BE. So there are some other names. We had CRWV. We had a swing yesterday. So we had swing yesterday. CRWV we added close to 100, and we had added that CRWV. And there's some news came on CRWV even this morning, and what that did was that that made the stock weak. So our swing was down, so we had to cut it at the open. It was nicely up for $4 for us, but when this news hit on CRWV, it happens sometime, and closes through back loan facility to support expansion. There was also some news with Google, so it was kind of bearish. So as soon as it broke down, we had to exit our position, take a loss there. But then came the 512 calls on CRWV, right? So this is called the 512 calls. So beautiful calls, right? So I couldn't get the entry back for the swing. I did scalp some. But that was the midday curls, right? So this, you have to know that. So of course, bearish consolidation, and you see all these tickers were doing the same exact thing. They were curling, they were bouncing. You could look at multiple trades which were doing the same exact thing today, right? So if we go to our space stocks, which is also one of our high swings in ASTS, let's do like that. So ASTS is also one of our swing trade, huge winner for us here in our short-term portfolio. So ASTS is already up from 75 to $88 there for us. I hit 90 actually. So, and of course, I also told the traders in the pre-market planning, space names for continuation, and we had it in our pre-market plan on ASTS as a space stock, and you could see that long over 86 and 3450 calls. But you see what you're seeing here is initially it was bearish. That's fine. This is MTF to the MTF magnet, right? So that's called the MTF magnet. So you could trade here. You want to bounce this. This is a D- setup, but the real trade is right here. 512 calls, 81, 82, all the way to $98 move there on this name. So this bounce was just a beautiful Beautiful bounce. Vishal was on top of it. You see Vishal was targeting the MTF magnet. Yeah, Vishal was a short earlier on this MTF magnet, and then a lot of traders kind of curled ASTS towards the highs as well, and even our swing is doing pretty good. This is the power of the MTF cloud you need to use. This is the Ripster 512 curls, and you could see that how Ripster 512 curls went all the way from here all the way to 90.50, right? So yeah, so that was the 512 curls right there. All right, so let's talk about a swing setup we took yesterday. Like I said, you need to have your focus list ready. So yesterday, when we were dropping down there, I sent an update to my traders that we are adding starter size on 150 on that swing. Not only that, I also shared it on my Twitter about CRDO yesterday. No hindsight, you see that this is a gap, big correction, gap, support, 150 psychological level, this level, this level. So we use that as a stop, to long it. It was doing pretty good, but something happened at the open. So what happened on the CRDO at the open, that it is pulled back down toward the 150 level and swiped right back up. And that's when also I told my traders in the community for the day trade, 150 bounce long, and also on the swing as well. We added that position here. Let me see if I can show you that. So this was our swing position yesterday, and also added 152, 151. Right when I see this bouncing, I would have stopped out if it broke down this and became a huge winner. If you had 1,000 shares, you could literally make 15, 16 grand there, 100 shares, $50, $1,600. And also it reclaimed the key MTF clouds. So what was it? Repeatable swing setup, repeatable day trade setup as well, 150 psychological level. No hindsight, showed you the previous chart, showed you the idea yesterday, showed you my entries, how we longed yesterday, how we long today. That's how you make consistent money in the markets. Big winners, huge winners. That's what you got to do. All right, let's look at a little bit about on a circle. So circle, what circle was doing was a little choppy. I mean, I was bullish on it, but it's choppy. I mean, look at these candles, up, down, up, down. So, it's been a little choppy, but definitely it had pulled back a lot. So it was on our watch list there as well. Let's see, look at the daily chart on circle, and it was pulled back to the MTF cloud. So it was on my watch list, and this morning we had an upgrade. Morgan Stanley raises the PD to 106. So I was expecting some bounce, but since market was heavy in the morning, it was kind of choppy. You see push, pull back, push, pull back, but you see it's holding the previous day low. So that's your risk if you want to trade it. Did give a 512 call right here, but again was very choppy. So 10-minute candle was very choppy. So you just had to use a different time frame, 15 or 30 minutes, and trade versus yesterday lows or today's lows and take it up. Just want to recap that, one of my favorite name for swings as well. All right, so let's look at a loser today here. Let's look at loser Fig. Fig kind of failed with the entire software names, right? We're looking for the long, but the entire software sector kind of dumped. Fig dumped, Now dumped, Microsoft dumped. So all of them just boom, something happened to the software. Same time the AI names started to bounce today. Same time the AI names went crazy. The same time the software names started to dump huge. You could see that. So you see that money kind of moved from the softwares to the, the AI names. So that was why the Fig was our loser today. I told the traders to watch the pullback for the long, but once it broke the clouds, stopped out here and it flushed right to the MTF. All right. So let's wrap it up with talking about the memory names a little bit. So Micron was the same concept. 512 curls reclaimed yesterday lows. That's the long there, and take it all the way up. A lot of traders were kind of long on those names in the community, Micron and SNDK. So this is the power of Ripster clouds, guys. That's how you got to use Ripster clouds. Today was a weird day, big weakness, yields drop, and then midday bounce on AIs, midday sell-off on the software names. So yeah, hopefully so you learned something, and thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.